Good evening. We're going to start the council meeting for December 17th, 2020. We will begin by reciting the pledge, followed by a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
for all.
Thank you. Before we get started with our agenda, I just wanted to give some background on the virtual meeting format. As a result of the restrictions enacted by the Governor of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania and the Allegheny County Health Department prohibiting indoor gatherings of more than 10 people, we are holding our December council voting meeting using this virtual format. Our meetings will be live streamed via the Borough YouTube channel, and our meetings will continue to be broadcasted live on Comcast Channel 19 or Verizon Fios Channel 29. Residents may address council during the meeting on any agenda or non-agenda items by using the Borough website online comment form. And now we'll continue on with our agenda. Mr. Thomas, roll call, please.
Certainly. Mr. Delaney?
Present.
Mr. Dern?
Here.
Mr. Doyle?
Here.
Mr. Hadley?
Here.
Mr. Odom?
Present.
Mr. Pastor?
I see him up there.
Mr. Pastor?
Muted.
You might be muted.
You've been a terrible whistling.
I know he's attending here. So he might be having technical difficulties. And finally, Mayor Schlegel.
Present.
We have a
You never
quorum.
asked for me.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Vento.
I'm here.
We still have a quorum.
Great, thank you, Mr. Thomas. Motion to approve the treasurer's report for the month of November.
So
I'll
moved.
make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Dern, second by Mr. Vento. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Motion to approve the expenses for the month of November.
We'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr.
I'll
Hadley.
second it.
Second by Mr. Dern. Mr. Thomas, if you would, please.
Certainly. General fund payables requiring council approval, $429,852.99. Street improvement fund payables requiring council approval, $7,694.72. Fire fund payables requiring council approval, $16,300.90. Liquid fuels fund payables requiring council approval, $57,068.23. Capital improvement fund payables requiring council approval, $12,781. Flood mitigation fund payables requiring council approval, $49,484.66. Emergency medical services fund payables requiring council approval, $239. 2019 bond fund payables requiring council approval, $266,244.37. Purchasing card direct vendor payments through public service, $168,108.20. Miscellaneous borough purchases of $45.62. Total payables to be approved, $1,007,819.69.
Having received a motion in a second, would you vote to approve the expenses for the month of November? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to approve the November 9th council meeting minutes.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Dern.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hadley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to recognitions of achievements in the community. Mayor Slagle.
Thank you, Mr. Odom. I've got several, but first, might I suggest, I think we need to put a scale in the police department so that all officers can be weighed. Thoughtful citizens. Michael Cerniglia of Michael's Painting provided sandwiches from Oakmont Bakery for the officers working the day shift in November. Mark Reed continued his support of our police department by providing a monthly birthday cake. Paul Mackisoto, I knew I pronounced that wrong, of Pittsburgh Eats provided lunch for the daylight shift. And if you remember correctly, Mr. Thomas, you wanted to run him off.
What?
Well, you came into the office and you've seen his truck back here and wanted to know why there was a food truck back to the police department. And then you stormed out and talked to the chief. So I figured you wanted to run him out of there. But anyway, we all appreciated Pat and Stan Kosmarski again. They delivered 2 packages of brownies for Thanksgiving for continued support to our police department. Ali Caravota, homemade brownies to the police department. Mary Valentine delivered a tray of Hershey's candy bars. Gentlemen, do you see what our police are eating? It's Spitzer Toyota delivered 4 frozen turkeys to the police department for the use of the officers. They all agreed that they would be a better use, and they donated those 4 frozen turkeys to the Plum Boro food bank. And again, for over 10 years, David Johnson of D. Johnson Erie Insurance has provided Thanksgiving dinner for our police department. And even with the global pandemic, David remembered our police department on Thanksgiving Day. So thank you to all those people. And now you see why I want to scale in the police department. Thank you, Mr. Odom.
Thank you, Mayor Slagle. Thank you, Mayor Slagle. Moving on to our civic announcements. Mike Thomas, did we have any specific civic announcements?
Only if you would like me to announce the petition we've received.
Certainly, we did receive a petition to create an agricultural security area. Do you want to give the details of that?
Yes, on December 7th, the borough received a petition, a formal petition to create agricultural security area in Plum Boro. The agricultural security area contains well in excess of 100 or 200 acres combined, including 13 separate property owners in Plum. The borough is required to announce that it's received this petition next meeting upon receipt of the petition. The next step will be for the borough to post the properties that are proposed for this agricultural security area and advertise the petition. There's then a day period when the general public, that's 15 days after the advertisement. There's then a 15-day period after which residents and the general public can comment on the proposed properties to be included, in the agricultural security area.
Okay, thank you for providing that detailed discussion on this particular item, and we'll certainly follow the process that we need to follow to move that forward and involve the right individuals, both from within our organization and the community. The next item on the agenda is President's comments. I only just have one item that I just wanted to briefly relative to the Christmas in the Park event that we weren't able to hold this month in December due to the restrictions based on the COVID-19 pandemic. And we certainly, apologize for not being able to do that. We know a lot of residents look forward to that particular event. And it certainly was something that our staff puts a lot of work into, and they were somewhat, disappointed in not being able to proceed with that event. But that being said, hopefully next year we'll be able to bounce back once we come through, come out of the pandemic, and we hope that we can offer some additional events in the springtime and beyond to kind of make up for not being able to proceed with the Christmas in the Park event. So again, we know a lot of folks are looking forward to it, and we hope we can make it up to you next year. That concludes my comments. Moving on to citizen comments on agenda items. Mike Thomas, do we have any items from citizens on the agenda?
No, we have not.
Okay, that moves us to council actions. On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, Mr. Vento.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development Committee, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Fidel lot line revision.
We have a motion by Mr. Vento.
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Delaney. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Also, on behalf of the committee, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the resolution number 894-20, the sewage facility for Boyce Park.
Motion by Mr. Vento.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hadley. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Vento. On behalf of the Personnel Management Committee, Mr. Hadley.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Excuse me, Mr. President. There was an agenda item missed. I'm sorry. Item number 3 is the tax delinquent commercial property.
Yes, let's go back to Mr. Vento.
I'm sorry, I did miss that. Yes, I'd like to make a motion on behalf of the committee to for a tax delinquent commercial property.
If you wouldn't mind, Mr. President, could I read the full motion so that we can be clear because it is a exoneration?
Yes, please do.
So the motion would be to accept the borough's portion of the net tax proceeds, which are 18%, of the sale of block and lot numbers 1233-J-342 and block and lot number 1233-M-346 in exchange for full exoneration of the delinquent taxes owed.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Vento as read by Mr. Thomas.
Second.
Second by Mr. Is that Hadley?
Pass.
Pastor, I'm sorry. Second by Mr. Pastor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, I'm pretty sure that's all I have now. At least that's all that's on my agenda. So sorry for that.
Okay, now we will move on to Mr. Hadley on behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to approve the collective bargaining agreement with the Borough Clerical Union as presented for 2021 through 2024.
We have a motion by Mr. Hadley.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Vento. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And also on behalf of the Personnel and Management Committee, I move to appoint Chris Cyphers to the Stormwater Task Force.
Motion by Mr.
I'll
Hadley.
second that.
Second by Mr. Dern. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And that is it, Mr. President. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Pastor. I'm sorry, Mr. Hadley. Can't get my names right tonight. On behalf of Public Safety, Mr. Dern.
Thank you, Mr. Odom. I move, excuse me. I move to make a motion for an agreement with the Plum Fire Chiefs Association.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Mr. Dern, second by Mr. Vento. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Odom. That's all I have on my agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Dern. Moving on to the Finance Committee, Mr. Doyle.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to ask your all's patience here as I'm reading on my phone and it's very small print and you all know I'm blind. So with that said, 1 second here. Sorry. I move to adopt resolution 892-20 authorizing the borough's annual lease to own program with Vision Financial Group.
We have a motion by Mr. Doyle,
I'll second that.
second by Mr. Dern. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to adopt resolution 893-20 establishing the 2021 real estate tax millage rate at 4.78 mils, which is not an increase, not a decrease.
Second.
That's a motion by Mr. Doyle,
Second it.
second by Mr. Dern. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to enact ordinance 950-20 establishing the 2021 earned income wage tax rate at 1% annually.
Motion by Mr. Doyle,
Second.
Second.
second by Mr. Pastor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to enact ordinance 951-20 establishing the 2020-21 local services tax rate at $52 annually.
A motion by Mr. Doyle,
Second it.
second by Mr. Dern. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
On behalf of the committee, I move to adopt resolution 895-20 authorizing the 2021 tax anticipation note in the amount of $1.5 million at 1.1%.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Doyle, second by Mr. Vento. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to adopt the 2021 budget as presented and advertised.
I'll
Second.
second.
Motion by Mr. Doyle, second by Mr. Dern. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
On behalf of the Finance Committee, I move to adopt, I move to 20 EIT forgiveness program for the volunteer firefighters as per the certified list from each department.
Second it.
Motion by Mr. Doyle, second by Mr. Vento. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And finally, on behalf of the committee, I move to forgive the penalty for real 2020 real estate taxes assessed on the property owner by Ruth Bradshaw.
Motion by Mr. Doyle,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Vento. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. President. That's the end of my motions.
Thank you, Mr. Doyle. On behalf of the Roads, Equipment, and Grounds Committee, Mr. Pastor.
Thanks, Mr. Odom. On behalf of the Roads, Equipment, and Grounds Committee, I move to adopt Resolution 891-20, accepting the federal sync-up grant for traffic signals on Route 286.
Motion by Mr. Pastor,
Second.
second by Mr. Dern. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
On behalf of the committee, I move to accept the low bid of $16,539,000 from Rycon Construction Incorporated for the construction of the new Plum Boro Municipal Center project.
Motion by Mr. Pastor,
I'll second.
second by Mr. Vento. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And that concludes my motions.
Thank you, Mr. Pastor. Concludes council minds. Moving on to the mayor's report. Mayor Slagle.
Thank you, Mr. Odom. In the month of November, we had 744 calls for service, and that is a 13% decrease from October. One of the key things that our officers do, and I want to make the public aware of this, if there are seniors or you have senior family members, and you would like a welfare check performed, our officers do that. They perform 24 welfare checks during the month of November. And all you have to do is contact the police and ask them to pull a welfare check on your either your elderly neighbors or relatives. if you haven't heard from or seen from them for a while, particularly in this weather when they're not able to get around and with this pandemic. We're glad to know that Officer DeMarco had put away the ATS speed trailer and speed signs for the next couple of months, so I will not be having my rogues gallery up there. That doesn't mean you can speed. That means the signs aren't out there, but I can assure you, Officer DeMarco and the others are quite vigilant. We've got a couple new police tools that we implement. One is a community-oriented police services vehicle, which will be used at borough functions. It is a golf cart that is fully decked out with lights, siren, appropriate badges on it. The other, I'm pretty excited about this. We're moving with the technology, and that is for our community-oriented police services. We have a drone that will be your leading lost children, handicapped, bad actors, as the police call it, if they're hiding in the woods. We're pretty excited about that piece of technology coming on board. And finally, we are in phase 1 of a 3 for our police body cams. And this is for protection of both the officers and the community. So please, if you don't want to be on video, if you have interaction with our police, watch your attitude and your language, because it is being recorded. As soon as they flip their lights on, that camera is activated. And a couple of things, our police, I'm always amazed with the police and the fire departments for what they do to help people during this time. There was an emergency vehicle parade for an 8-year-old child in foster care on Impala Drive. And that was done by the Plum Police, Plum EMS, Holiday Park Fire Department again, and the Allegheny County Police. Drove by, lights and sirens, to help him celebrate his 8th birthday and welcome him to Plum. And again, our police officers participated in the Toys for Tots. And instead of giving toys as they normally did to a larger organization, all the donations were done and they kept within Plum Boro. And sir, that is all I have for this evening.
Hey, thank you, Mayor. That's exciting to hear about the police transitioning to the use of both body cams and the drone technology. It's nice to see that transition. So congratulations to those folks for keeping up with technology and continuing to serve the community like they do. They're second to none, and we certainly appreciate all their efforts.
Well, one of the things, gentlemen, that is making this possible is that when we've with Assistant Chief Mark Fosteretta, he's kind of I'll call him a geek when it comes to technology. And that's a good balance we have within the department with he and Chief Conley. So they're able to do that. You have to excuse that. So he is bringing a lot of this technology on board. And he is our, I guess we're going to call him a technical guru on this. So a lot of that's happening because of Assistant Chief Foster.
Hey, thank you, Mayor. And I got to call you out on that Marine Corps hymn ringtone you got on your phone. You need to change that to Anchors Away.
Well, the Marines do need somebody to drive us to where we need to get.
I knew that was coming next. Thank you, Mayor. Okay, moving on to committee reports. The Intergovernmental Committee, a cooperative committee for the Plum School District. We haven't gotten anything from them regarding an upcoming meeting, so we'll continue to wait until we hear from them, probably sometime early next year. Moving on to the Finance Committee, Mr. Doyle.
Thank you, Mr. President. General fund highlights for the month of November 2020. The Borough recognized revenues totaling $1,062,877 and incurred expenses in the amount of $907,749. Regarding the revenues, current year real estate taxes are presently at 99% of budget. and we have received approximately $4.04 million through the month of November. Also, to date, we have received $3.53 million in current year's earned income tax revenues, and this represents 91% of the adopted budget. The cable TV franchise revenue line received the fourth quarter payments from Verizon and Comcast. A total of $145,734 was booked, and we will end the year approximately $2,000 under budget. The regional asset district funding will finish the year above budget, and we will have received $595,221 through the reporting period. Overall, the budget is recorded $12.83 million in revenues, and we are trending to end the year over budget. And with regard to revenues, over budget is a good thing. Regarding the expenditures through the month of November, the borough has expended 84% of the budget, which equates to $11.24 million. From a departmental standpoint, we have no current budget concerns, and overall expenditures are tracking slightly below the budget. Another good thing. The borough will soon be notified by our independent auditor when the 2020 interim field work will begin. All field work is normally completed by the end of January. That is the end of my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Doyle. Moving on to the next committee report, Mr. Pastor, Roads, Equipment, and Grounds.
Thank you, Mr. Odom. Project updates for the month of November include the Jane Street Garland Boulevard Emergency Stormwater Project was pushed back to start the first week of December. There was a delay in receiving the inlets and manholes for the project. The East Oakmont Stormwater Project started with the removal of vegetation and trees. This project start has been delayed because of the difficulty getting precast concrete structures. The Holiday Park Stormwater Project is 95% complete. This project went smoothly. I'm sure there may be some small restoration issues in the spring. These will be addressed at that time. And we have taken delivery of the new vehicles for the Public Works Department. Road maintenance updates include we completed the repairs of inlets on Blue Drive, Salzburg Road, and Ligonier Lane. We milled and did asphalt repairs on Edenburg Drive. We did some stream bank stabilization at Plum Creek. This was affecting the bank at Ross Hollow Road. Leaf pickup season continued through the month of November. We had 3 units operating every day. And we removed an old fuel tank at the old Public Works garage. We're waiting for soil test results before we could backfill that area. All the trucks have been prepped with salt spreaders and loaded for the winter maintenance season. We have plenty of salt on hand for the upcoming season. We will continue patching potholes and making curb repairs with hot asphalt mix. We used 15 tons of asphalt for pothole patching and curb repairs reported to the department. Leaf pickup ended December 4th. Anyone with leaves are welcome to bring them to the New Texas Road disposal site, and we will now concentrate on winter maintenance. End of report.
Thank you, Pastor. Public Safety, Mr. Dern.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Maloney, I believe he is ready to go. He's going to read his monthly operations report from the Plum EMS. Mr. Maloney, you there?
I am. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Excellent. And Mr. President, would it be okay if I shared a couple pictures while I do this?
Absolutely.
All right, let me just see if I can do this correctly. So let's see here.
You're up on the screen, Brian, the EMS building.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So basically, for the month of November, it was actually a very busy month. We did a total of 282 responses, and we transported 162 patients. And this is up by 23.7% compared to this time last year. And so the crews have just been really stepping up, staying very busy. We had quite a few mutual aid responses to other communities because call volume across the board is going up. Ended up in the other communities 43 times, with 33 of those folks being transported to the hospital. And we ended up needing mutual aid coming into Plum 9 times throughout the month of November. And that was about only a 3.7% time that EMS was needed in Plum that we had to go to a neighboring agency. But we made sure everybody was taken care of. One of the big things that we did in conjunction with some other folks in November and into December is, and Mayor Schlegel had talked about it, was the Toys for Tot toy drive. In the past, Plum EMS has always donated a handful of toys. I mean, literally can be held by 1 or 2 people. And this year, with everything going on, we kind of started thinking about trying to do something a little bit more. Most like probably all of you, we know families that are struggling, having a tough time. I know one woman who, she's having to break into her savings account to help so her grandchildren have a good Christmas. And so this kind of, touched us. And, we initially challenged the team members of Plum EMS to see how many toys we could collect. Well, Jim Sims of the Holiday Park Volunteer Fire Department, who was one of our part-time EMTs, loved the idea, and Holiday Park Volunteer Fire Department joined as well. From there, we started thinking, shoot, we can make a difference if we start working together with people. And so the next invite was to the Plum Police and the Plum Boro Administration Department, and they went above and beyond. This is a picture of them where Frank showed up with a wheelchair van, and it took all these people to load the wheelchair van up. Initially, I thought Frank was messing with me. When he was returning to the station, he told me, "I'm coming in hot. I need help." And I laughed until I realized we needed a stretcher to put all these toys on to get them out of the wheelchair van. And so one of the other things we started thinking about is some of the other agencies we deal with on a routine and regular basis. And here's a picture of some of the representatives of Hannah Healthcare Center up at Longwood at Oakmont. They, due to their COVID restrictions, asked if we could set an ambulance there for the day. And throughout the day, team members of that facility stopped by and dropped toys or put toys in the back of the truck. We also do a lot with Concordia at Ridgewood Place, and this is a picture of them. That box, it took 2 people to carry the amount of toys. And so once again, it was amazing to see everybody working together when it came like this. Holiday Park Volunteer Fire Department even went above and beyond. This is a good picture of a lot of them with the police and some of the folks from the Toys for Tots toy drive that night. And in the end, this is what we resulted in. This is more than waist deep high in the back of an ambulance of nothing but toys. It was an amazing experience to see and work with everybody. Everybody went above and beyond, and I can't tell you, there's a couple times tears almost came to my eye when I realized what everybody was doing. So I certainly wanted to, thank everybody who was a part of that, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. So, any questions, comments, gripes, concerns, complaints for Plum EMS?
The only comment I'd like to make, and this is from Mr. Odom, Toys for Tots is a Marine Corps program.
Yes, it is, and a fabulous program it is.
Yeah, it turned out great, and I thank the high school because it was a lot of their staff members that had to volunteer to put this on because there was no students up there because of all the restrictions. And so they were up there to help make that happen. So kudos to all of them.
All right. Thank you, Brian. That concludes my report, Mr. Odom. Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you, Mr. Dern. Planning and Economic Development, Mr. Vento.
Thank you, Mr. Odom. On behalf of the Planning and Economic Development report for November is the financial summary. There were 73 permits issued and $41,794.50 in revenue. Both the Planning Commission and the Zoning Hearing Board didn't meet this month. There were numerous meetings and conference calls that the staff of the Planning Department had to field. The 2 that I thought were most important and the public would want to know about is 480 Davidson Road. They had a discussion with a person about a small addition to an existing building. Also, on 331 Unity Center Road, they talked about a proposed ice cream shop. So living in that area myself, I'm really interested in that one. So that's about all. The other meetings were not, they're just administrative in nature, so not really needed to mention for the public. The housing plan issues this month were they worked with the Allegheny County on addressing issues in Oakmont Heights. That's just mainly end of the plan type things that they have to get straightened out with the county. And they finalized the winter maintenance agreement for Parkside Estates. So that would mean that they would get their streets plowed if needed this winter. Code enforcement issues this month where there was 81 occupancy inspections, and they addressed 18 code violations for garbage, junk, and debris and occupancy issues. The staff worked on a volunteer project to help rebuild the front porch on Yetman Drive. And fire calls, Longwood for a commercial kitchen fire and 468 Crestview Drive. So they checked the areas out after a fire. So that was what they were for. And ordinance issues, I talked with the borough engineer about possible amendments to the stormwater ordinance. Any potential amendments would make it easier for new home builders to satisfy the ordinance requirements. This is for homes built outside of housing plans, generally for the people that are, building just the one-family homes on their own lot and everything. So some of the things that pertain to new plans don't need to pertain to those people building all by themselves. So it was good they were trying to get that straightened out. That was an issue for a lot of people coming forward to build a single home. They could get that talked about anyway, if not completely ironed out. Miscellaneous items, they talked with multiple parties wishing to purchase a property located at 460 Davidson Road. This is a block building on an undeveloped piece of land. The building has no water or sewage service. Now, the permits issued in November, 19 of the permits were for new single-family homes. And I only have one more item on my list tonight, and that's to wish everybody in the community a very Merry Christmas and a happy holidays and a very happy New Year's, too. So, Merry Christmas to all. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Vento. Parks and Recreation, Mr. Delaney.
Thank you, Mr. President. As to be expected this time of year, there's not too much going on in Parks and Rec, but we do have some important updates. We've torn down the old fencing, dugouts, and backstops on fields 7 and 8 in preparations for new dugouts and backstops. We've also awarded the contracts for the installation of the new playground at both Logan's Ferry and Renton Park. That's huge. We're hoping to get the work started in December. I know that's been a long time coming for both places, and we want to make sure that everybody know that all the lights down at Plum Creek were put up for the Christmas festival, and even though it was canceled, the lights are still up. Everybody is there to walk around and go look at them, so feel free. And I want to echo Vento's sentiment. Merry Christmas, Happy Yule, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy holidays to everybody. Let's have a good snow day. And that'll be it.
Thank you, Mr. Delaney. That concludes our committee reports. The Planning Commission will meet on December 17th, and now we'll finish with our last item, which is citizen comments on non-agenda items. Mr. Thomas, did we receive any citizen comments?
We did receive one citizen comment on the citizen would like council to address her situation with a dye test that she received from the Plum Boro Municipal Authority. She had previously sent an email to me and all of council on this issue, and she would just like council to address it, and she would like a response.
Okay.
That's the only public comment we received. I'm sorry, I did get a public comment form from the reporter for the Trib, but his comment was just that the volume was low.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll certainly address those comments and make sure we get back to the individual requesting the dye test, and hopefully we've gotten the audio problems for those who are watching adjusted. But with that said, I would like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. We certainly know 2020 has been a tough year for a lot of people. I think most of us are going to be welcoming in 2021 with open arms. So we just ask that everybody have a safe and happy holidays, and we will see you next year. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Oh, Mr. Odom.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Slagle.
I got one question. I got one issue, by the way, and it goes back to the issue of the real estate tax forgiveness. There was another request that came in. It didn't make it on the agenda, and I don't know the procedure, but it was from a Mr. Sench, who had sent a request to the borough and to the school district. He did not get his bill. And in checking, the same with Miss Robshaw, although Mr. Sench is not elderly. He didn't get his bill and therefore didn't pay his taxes as he normally did at discount. And I was wondering if that could be, if council would consider forgiving his penalty. They would both pay at the full amount, but no penalties.
If I may, Mr. Mayor and Mr. President, we do have a policy that council adopted a few years ago for this exact situation, and as long as the taxing authority can, the tax collector can confirm that a bill was not sent or that there was an issue with that, then no action is needed. The policy is that the penalty is automatically forgiven. So I can confirm that with the tax collector, if that's okay.
Yeah, I think that's appropriate.
Sounds good.
Thank you. That's all I have, and thank you for the interruption.
Okay, no problem. Thank you, Mayor. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion by Mr. Vento, second by Mr. Dern. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
We'll be adjourning for executive session.
Okay, I have stopped